Hey guys, it's Will here. Rigetti made a big move, and if you're paying attention to quantum computing, this could be an early warning signal. Is this stock finally turning the corner, or is it just another hype spike? That's the question. Let's break it down here. And for the news, for the financials, all smart investors that I know go through this series of analysis. It's a three-part analysis we'll be going through with Rigetti. It is the market, the analysis of the chart, the financials, and the news. And then we'll talk about risk to reward and the profit margins and potential profit here going into the week. So, a couple things to note right off the bat, they do have their earnings after hours today. If this video gets, let's call it 100 likes, we'll go ahead and do that live stream public here on YouTube. If you guys just want to make sure you want to see it, go ahead and hit the like button, and we will tune in live to the earnings call here after hours and would love to see how it is that their stock reacts, as we do have some long-term positions but love to trade the short-term swings, as you guys know. So if you guys are curious about when the biggest moves happen, a lot of them happen right after hours. Now, outside of the quantum market today, we were trading live this morning, and it was really seeing massive movement in the market. Our portfolio is up 4.69% so far today. And some of our positions are doing really well. One of them wasn't doing so hot, which was SOXS, which was the semiconductor market inverse, but our bull semiconductor was doing quite well, up 23%. So overall, great live sessions. And if you guys ever want to be there, it's the second link in the description. Let's take a look. Rigetti stock. The market of quantum computing is growing. In fact, one of the recent bills that was passed that we've been talking about for a little bit here is the Quantum Reauthorization Act. So if I can, there it is, Quantum Initiative. This is a bill just recently passed here. If you take a look at some of the news, it's a $2.7 billion national quantum initiative. So when we talk about a market, if it's growing or not, a good indication is there big investments happening in that market? In this case, there are some big investments happening in quantum, and they're going to go into universities. It's going to go into different research companies. And one of the universities that has a lot of their students going to the quantum realm and working in quantum computing is UC Berkeley. So UC Berkeley is California's one of their most prestigious schools, and they are prominently serving as employees for Rigetti stock. So Rigetti, couple things to note. We got earnings after hours. So as we go from the market's expected to grow to trillions of dollars in the next few years. That's an estimate from IBM and Microsoft. So just keep that in mind. When we go from the market analyzation, which is showing signs of growth, to the analysis stage, there's three pieces again, and we could start with the news. Let's take a look at Rigetti Computing. If you guys aren't familiar with the company, they are a quantum computing company based out of Berkeley, California. You can see they have their quantum computer here that you can analyze and see exactly how it is that the computer functions and how it works, all the way down to the QPU, which seems to be having space there. As you can see, Rigetti, you see this, it's empty right now. But if you were to search, for example, the Majorana chip, it would have a pretty nice resemblance of a chip that looks like this. See the shape of that chip right there? Yeah, could be right here as well, right? So you can even see the bolts in the top right corners and stuff for this, and most likely that's, you know, the level, the part at which it would connect. Keeping in mind that they're a quantum computing company in the early stages, working with NASA, Oxford. They have partnerships with AWS, Microsoft, and some others. So as we start to get ready for their earnings, the news and what they have recently come out with is, if you take a look here, May 6th, they have a fireside chat there. So that was in May 2025. Then they also have some partnerships One of the partnerships that they recently announced was this Quanta computer partnership. They closed an investment of approximately $35 million worth of shares of Rigetti at a $11.59 price point per share. So just to put that in perspective, if we're looking at Rigetti, it's not even at 11.59 right now. So there's a company willing to pay what was $35 million to acquire some shares of Rigetti there at that price point. So just keep in mind that there is a large number of big investors in the company. If we're looking at news, we can get into some of the partnerships. You got $5.48 million Rigetti-led consortium here. This is a Air Force Office Scientific Research Reward, but and also a $3.5 million contract there with UK. And this was all, leading up to reporting some earnings here today after hours. So we'll see how that does. On top of that, in the news section of Rigetti, you could maybe this would be considered financials, but if we're gonna just really jump into the nitty gritty of Rigetti, you might consider looking at RGTI here and taking a look at their institutional investors. So take a look RGTI. We can take a look at their company and their institutional holdings. So these are the big banks. I see a pretty good bankroll from BlackRock. You got Vanguard, State Street, and Goldman Sachs. Not only those companies, you have Charles Schwab, JP Morgan Chase, and Morgan Stanley, Swiss National Bank, and Bank of America. So no small amounts of investments, actually some pretty large positions, and more increased positions than decreased positions, indicating more of a buying frenzy recently from investors. So if we're considering those things in the news section, then we might head over to the charts and see its recent kind of breakout. We've seen it consolidating. Let's just go back here and really take a look. We know we started covering it here back in November. It was $1 a share. It surged up to about $21 a share before selling back down to $6.50 after an announcement from the NVIDIA CEO. But it did recover, and we saw it get back up here. And the announcement basically said quantum computing is 15 to 30 years away. It's way further away than people think. And he went back on the comments and said, okay, maybe there is some real world cases, but mostly not real world cases. And essentially had them come talk at an NVIDIA GTC event where it was a little wishy-washy, but essentially he said sorry and said, he really admires what the companies are doing, but that they were maybe not having as much real world impact as some people might imagine right now, which could be valid in certain areas, but we do see some real world applications being developed for battery efficiency, for complex problems. They have to be very complex for it to make sense to use a quantum computer. So, for example, we're getting kind of in the nitty gritty here, but like you could be looking at climates, all the different indicators. They're using quantum processors for space weather because of all the millions of variables that are being considered in the weather. And so maybe quantum computers make sense for solving just those really big problems. That makes sense. So then they sold back down. They found the support here at about $7.25, $7.30. They were consolidating left to right. They got rejected at 11.45, but then recently started this trend up and broke out above this previous resistance at $11. So once they broke out, they did sell back down. This was Friday, and they're holding here at this $11 price point. So as we start to see them push up, a couple things to consider on the chart. Number one, maybe a little overextended and looks like, it could sell back down to this support around $10.50. But number two, we got to see that it has broken up above this previous resistance that has also acted as a support. You see this previous resistance oftentimes in most stocks and most technical analysis, previous resistance will act as a support. So now there is that indication number two that this previous resistance could act as a support. And we start to see a breakout take place, especially here with their earnings reporting after hours. If they have really good earnings, we start to see them push up. This is the type of move that most Rigetti investors have been looking for. And with the recent surge that we've seen, they haven't slowly risen. They've gone up about 60% in a matter of a week or two. And now they're looking to maybe make that climb to make the rally up here to 100%. Or I guess the next level would be about $15 a share. From current price up to about $15 a share would be that next level of support and resistance that it would have to break above. So that would be a 93% increase from the start of the rally, but from current prices, about a 25% potential for profit. So this brings us into what is the financials. So RGTI stock, they have a market cap of 3.3 billion. However, what they have going here financially is that they recently beat their earnings per share in December, but came in very negative on the net income. They attributed that negative net income to some of their runway, putting money into research and finding that they were expanding some of their connections, research laboratories, and network of quantum computing that had a pretty large cost there, which really drove their net income quite negative. It's not quite often that you see a company valued at billions of dollars, but only bringing in, $2 or $3 million in revenue per quarter. That's pretty unheard of. So the valuations do seem insane, but the upside potential for quantum computers, essentially especially in the AI world today, is a tremendous opportunity. I think most investors are keeping in mind when looking at, especially Rigetti here. So we look at the financials again. They've been with that negative net income, but possibly improving revenue. It did actually decline a little bit. So what we're saying here is there was a couple multi-million-dollar contracts at the early 2025 quarter, and we're saying maybe some of those show up here in this earnings call, which could potentially drive a slight spike on Rigetti stock post earnings. So it's up 10% today. It's already up, and I would urge caution because, as we mentioned, it's really crucial support right here at $11. And if it breaks below, the next level is definitely, it's kind of down here in that $10 range. However, if we see their earnings come out positive, which I actually am expecting them to come out with more positive earnings, it's possible investor sentiment drives up price, and we could see it make this run up to this maybe $15 range, and that would be kind of the next level. So again, you have this resistance here. If we mark it out, this is a previous support, resistance. See that resistance level? And so that would be kind of the next level at which it would try and make its run to at about $14.50, which again would be about a 25% increase to those levels. And if you ever are looking to learn how to trade short-term swings and balance your portfolio in the AI boom, quantum, space stocks, and get the opportunity to find some of these smaller companies that are in the AI boom or a part of this emerging technology that we're seeing in the quantum world, then I would encourage you guys to simply take a look at StockMate. We got our free t-shirt, which I'm wearing right now. It's nice and comfy here. And if you guys enroll in lifetime access there for our daily live trading sessions, then you get a free t-shirt there included. So we'd love to send that over to you anywhere in the world as it's included with lifetime access. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you all. If I earned your thumbs up, hit that like button. Do consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.